From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Metro Detroiters, get ready for the heat. We're in a forewarned weather alert, and those pinks and purples you're seeing there, well, it means it's going to be dangerously hot. And we are not the only ones feeling the heat. Getting a live look over Washington, D.C. this morning, the nation's capital, along with many major Midwest and East Coast cities, are getting ready to see possible record-breaking heat in the area. And here in Detroit, it's going to be hot if you're heading downtown to Belle Isle or Hart Plaza to watch the Ford fireworks, so you've got to take some precautions. We're talking with a doctor about how to keep you, your family, and your pets safe in these hot temps. And thanks for joining us on Local 4 Live. I'm Priya Mann in for Nick Monticelli. And if you need to head out the door, that's fine. Just take us on the go with you and click on the Detroit app and listen to us in your car, just like a podcast. We have Ashley here to start things off. Ashley, I was out there doing some live reports this morning, and the hair, it gets bigger by the minute.
What is it? The bigger the hair, the closer to God?
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. But it is one of those hot days. You just feel it.
Yeah, you know, and there might be family traditions where you take the whole family out to the fireworks every year, including the pets. I'd keep the pets at home today. I mean, we're not just talking about the paws, being possibly damaged on the cement and sidewalks, but I mean, just think about having a fur coat on and just those temperatures. So leave the pets at home, limit their time outside today. But for you and your kids, you need to be very cautious as well. We have these extreme heat alerts that are rolling into today, much like yesterday. The only difference is today is probably the hottest day of this heat wave. So if you thought yesterday was bad, we're really cooking these temperatures with record heat on tap. So extreme heat warnings for the heart of the metro area with those advisories in orange in the outlying counties. And that just means the threshold is just a little bit lower, but we're all going to be in the 90s with triple digit heat indices. And normally you would celebrate the fact there's not a cloud in the sky, especially on a fireworks Monday, but we're just not going to get a break from the heat because of that sun beaming down on you. I mean, we're already at 81 degrees at 8 o'clock this morning in the city. 78 in Ann Arbor, 79 in Pontiac, and it's upward from here. We will be soaring into the 90s before we even get to the lunch hour, but 97 the forecasted high for today. And we hold on to that sunshine and the humidity, and so that feels like temperature, especially in Detroit, will be closer to 105 this afternoon. And so the current record stands at 95, so we will likely just crush that record. But tomorrow we're back in the 90s with triple digit heat indices, and then we fall into the 80s, which will be warm, but not nearly as oppressive as where we've been. So that record high of 95, Priya, set over 100 years ago, 1923.
Really?
So we could break a record that is held for over 100 years today.
You know, it's also interesting to look at just how many people are affected by this heat wave, if you will, that you have tens of millions in so many different states.
Right. I mean, you have that dome of heat. We'll talk more about that in our full forecast that's blanketing the Great Lakes while there's a cold snap out west. So it's kind of this yin and yang. But we definitely are dealing with this along with our neighboring states. And so, yeah, I mean, the hard part is we focus so much on the fact that we're going to break a record and it's hot in the afternoon. And of course, but really a big part of the problem is the overnight for folks that don't have air conditioning. You're not catching a break when you're waking up and it's 80 degrees. You can't open up the windows and allow that air to come in because it's hot outside.
Yeah, you just get no relief. I also heard you mentioning for folks who are heading down to the Ford fireworks, like an umbrella is a great way to kind of protect yourself.
Yeah, if you don't have a tent, bring an umbrella just to protect yourself from the sun, and freeze a couple water bottles before you head out because then at least the water will stay cooler longer.
Yeah, you'll have about 20 minutes.
Right.
Thanks, Ashley. We do want to get to some of our headlines this morning. The man accused of killing a prominent Detroit doctor will go in front of a judge in less than an hour. Desmond Burks was found competent to stand trial earlier this year in March after being charged in the killing of Dr. Devon Hoover in 2023. Dr. Hoover's body was found wrapped in carpet in the attic of his Boston Edison home. He'd been shot in the head twice. The hearing is expected to last a few days. President Trump is warning Iran more strikes could happen if it doesn't make a peace deal with Israel. This is satellite images of the damage from the U.S. striking 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities over the weekend. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security warning Americans to be cautious traveling overseas. The department is also keeping a close eye on cyber attack threats in the U.S. And getting a live look at the stock futures board this morning after a volatile weekend across the globe. Dow futures sliding just a little bit as of right now following the U.S. strike in Iran. So far, the global markets haven't been as aggressive following the strikes. We'll see what happens with Wall Street when the markets open at 9:30. And heading to the pump now, where gas prices slowly ticking up. The average price for a gallon of gas here in Michigan is $3.29. That's 20 cents higher than this time last week. And prices here in Metro Detroit even higher, costing about $3.30 a gallon. Of course, all eyes will be on the skies for the Ford fireworks. We're getting a live look of the beautiful Detroit skyline thanks to our friends over in Windsor. And we are getting closer and closer to the greatest summer party of the year. Of course, we're talking the Ford fireworks. And this morning, we're also talking with Eric Davis of Ford Philanthropy about the excitement and magic the Ford fireworks brings to not just Detroiters, but all those across the border over in Canada as well. Hey, Eric.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. So when we're talking,
Great to be here.
Nice to see you too. I was just out there with you at Hart Plaza. You can feel the temps rising. This is an event that's near and dear to you.
Oh, this is the greatest event of the year. It's just a fantastic opportunity for the community to come out, see a great show, spend some time together, and have a great time.
You know, for Ford, there's so many signature events that they're a part of. What do you think it is about the Ford fireworks that really stands out?
Well, you know, to your point, Ford is really a part of the community. We do a lot in partnership with the community, but there's just something special about the fireworks show. Once a year, Detroit comes together. We're able to celebrate the 4th of July Independence holiday and have a great time. And despite the heat, there's a cool breeze out here, and we're going to have a great time, no doubt about it.
And you were talking a lot about the joy that this event brings, especially to our little ones.
Oh, that's right. You know, there's something magical about fireworks, and you can just tell on the kids' faces. They're really enjoying something that's meaningful to them, and it's something that they're going to be able to talk about for the days to come and come together and spend time and have a great time. And it's more than just the fireworks. There's activities out here. There's face painting.
Right.
It's just a great time to be a kid. Great place to be.
Also really cool that we get to share this experience with our friends in Canada as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's intended to be a U.S. celebration, but it's an international event, and it's great that our friends across the river can enjoy the fireworks as well.
Is there something for you personally? I mean, every year, I think the thing that gets to me is it gets bigger and better somehow every single year.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to believe that they can top the show year over year, but somehow they do it. Every year I'm amazed. The shows, the creativity, really the artistry that goes into this fireworks show is really second to none.
And this is a huge partnership. There's a lot of different players involved to make sure this show runs off without a hitch.
Can't put on the greatest fireworks show on earth without a lot of partners, and between local media that really helps get the word out, to the parade company and their fantastic efforts to make sure that it is a show that is memorable. It's truly a community event, and a lot of folks pitch in to make it as spectacular as it is year in and year out.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for spending some time chatting with us. You know, before we let you go, is there anything you want to say to folks who might be heading downtown today? Of course, it's going to be hot. We got to stay hydrated, but it's really key about picking that perfect spot.
That's right. Well, I would say come and get here early. There will be a lot of folks down here. You don't want to miss the show, and there's so much else going on. You really want to come down with your bottle of water, find a cool place, and enjoy the evening.
Oh, it's going to be great. Yeah, maybe bring a few bottles of water with the heat we're talking about today. All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. See you tonight.
Yeah, see you tonight. And for everything you need to know about the Ford fireworks, you can just scan the QR code that's on your screen, and it will take you to this webpage on clickondetroit.com. And there you can find a list of road and park closures, parking, and spots to view the fireworks from. We'll be right back with a look at how to stay cool and safe in these hot temps. And getting a live look of downtown Detroit, let's be honest, you can just see the heat in the air. There are temperatures expected to go to the mid 90s, and heat indices, well, they're going to make the area feel like we're in the triple digits. Right now, it's important to be taking precautions to keep you, your family, and your family pets safe in these hot temps. Joining me this morning is Dr. Dan Lalonde with Henry Ford Health. Thanks for joining us, Doc.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You know, when we're talking about heat, especially such dangerous temps that we are, what is your top advice for folks to stay cool and protect themselves?
Yeah, certainly we're seeing a more, our at-risk populations like our seniors and children, and then, folks that work outside and athletes. So taking the proper precautions is very important. You want to make sure you're hydrating, 8 to 10 glasses of water a day, if not more, during this, next couple of days. Trying to get into a place that has air conditioning if you don't have something, and then people that are more at risk, that have chronic illnesses, and then obviously never leaving your pets or kids in a locked car in the heat are important.
You're talking about 8 to 10 glasses of water, and that can just seem so overwhelming. But one thing that's always got me is if you're starting to feel thirsty, it's too late. Like, you need to be drinking before you even get to that point, right?
That's correct. We primarily what we see and anticipate in the next few days is something called heat exhaustion. We've likely all felt kind of heat exhaustion before, when you have, you're feeling fatigued, you're sweating a lot, you might have a headache, maybe some vomiting. But the danger is something that goes from heat exhaustion to heat stroke. And the mark of that is somebody that has confusion and really an absence of sweating. And at that point, it's too late, and you need to call 911 and get to the hospital as soon as possible.
And what are some of the more common symptoms that you're seeing already? I know we were talking to our doctor, Frank McGeorge, who was leaving the ER yesterday after working an overnight shift, and he'd already started to see that uptick. What are some of the most common reasons people find themselves in an ER emergency room when the temps are this hot?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most commonly, it's dehydration, just feeling kind of weak and run down. And we can obviously help treat that with some IV fluid, some cool compresses. But again, the real danger is when you stop sweating and it's too late and your body system essentially to cool off have essentially failed. And at that point, it truly is a medical emergency. And thankfully, that's more of a rare and uncommon occurrence. But over the next 2 days, it'll be a more common thing that we see.
Can we also talk a little bit about our pets? I think a lot of time the focus is on us, but when you have a little fur baby at home, even something as simple as going out to do your business, you have to time that out and obviously not stay out there for very long.
Yeah, I don't pretend to be a veterinarian, but at the same time, our dogs and cats are very important to us. I think primarily the biggest recommendation is not leaving them in a parked vehicle in the heat. Unfortunately, we see a lot of tragedy with that when it comes to pets and children.
I think people don't realize how quickly the temps rise in a vehicle once it's parked there, but even just a few minutes in and you can really feel a difference. For yourself, when you're looking at ways to stay safe, when it comes to drinking water or finding a cool space, there's cooling centers available, options for folks who may not have AC at home. But if you don't have access to that, is there something you recommend? I mean, because even the overnight lows are not low at all.
Yeah, it's a great question. So certainly you want to try to limit any risk factors that you might have. Obviously, like you said, if you have no access to air conditioning, very important to wear, very breathable clothing. We talked about staying as hydrated as possible, trying to avoid the outside from about probably 10 a.m. to about 4 p.m. when the UV indexes are as high as they can be. And then hopefully relying on your friends and neighbors in these community centers, like you said, to get really into some air conditioning. Yeah,
this is certainly a time where you want to check on your friends and neighbors. All right, thank you so much for joining us, Doc, and I hope you have a great day and stay cool and hydrated.
Thank you for having me.
And we want to take a live look over in Mount Clemens, where no county is spared with the excessive heat. Oh, you can just feel it emanating off the screen there. Ashley is back to break down the times when staying inside may be the better bet. And you are getting a live look right across the country this morning. This is Lady Liberty in New York City. New York, along with several cities from the Midwest and the East Coast, facing near record heat and heat indices. Well, they'll be in the triple digits in some spots. But what a cool live shot there. I haven't seen Lady Liberty from that angle before.
I wonder if there's like a camera on the torch.
Right.
Looking down.
Looking down. She might need a fan instead of a torch today.
I know.
Right? Because Mother Nature's bringing the heat.
To say it lightly. I really, truly, I mean, we've been in this heat wave. This will mark the third day in a row where we get into the 90s, and we're not done with them yet. Likely in the 90s again tomorrow. The difference is today's probably the hottest of this stretch. And so forecasting 97 at Metro Airport. But I have this map on here to show you what our forecasted highs, which are in white, compared to what it's going to feel like in yellow. And in fact, I think some of those heat indices are a little underplayed. The closer you get to the city, we'll probably feel more like 105. And so that's factoring in the humidity with the heat, but that not even taking into account necessarily the sun that's beaming down on you. So I'm sure the car thermometer will read even higher than that. Check out the blue up in the northwestern part of the country. And so when I mentioned the yin and the yang, you have this heat dome over the Great Lakes, off to the East Coast, even stretching down south towards Florida and the Gulf states. And then up in the northwest is this cool snap. And so all has to do with the placement of the jet stream, but we are significantly warmer than Denver and to the Pacific Northwest. Temperatures right now, well, we have risen into the 80s on the east side. So we have 82 in Mount Clemens, 80 down in Monroe, 81 at City Airport and Grosse Ile, and a lot of folks just hovering right under that 80-degree mark, and we're going to continue to warm things up. So I mentioned we'll hit 90 today. That's a slam dunk. So we've had 2 days so far. The last 2 we've hit 90, and this would make day 3 in a row. We average a total of 13 days a year where we get to at least 90 degrees. And last year we had 14 of those. And so we're going to start adding to that tally over the next day or two. Almanac yesterday we were at 94, 4 degrees cooler than the average, or I should say the record high of 98, and 12 degrees warmer than an average of 82. Right now we're sitting closer to average highs, and we're just going upward from here. So 97 is the forecasted high today. That would crush the previous record of 95. That was set back all the way in 1923. So that record has been withstanding for over 100 years, and we're likely going to break that. Tomorrow we're back in the 90s, but probably not breaking a record, but extreme heat alerts continue. And this is what we had yesterday, rolling it into today. Warnings in the heart of the metro area, advisories in the outlying areas, and nonetheless, that heat risk is prominent for all of southeastern Michigan. The red is a major heat risk, the purple extreme. So we could see heat-related illnesses very quickly outside if you're not taking the proper precautions, and you want to make sure that you're staying hydrated throughout the day. Forecast planner, sunshine. I mean, you're going to have a hard time finding a cloud today, which normally you would celebrate, but on a day like today, you might want a few clouds rolling in to make it feel a bit cooler. But 97 will be that high that we take all the way till about 6 o'clock this evening. So for folks coming downtown because of street closures and such with the fireworks, well, plan for those upper 90s. And even when we fall into the 80s by sunset, it's going to feel like 90s with the heat index. So you want to drink a lot of water. You want to make sure that you avoid alcohol on a day like today. Apply sunscreen every 2 hours that's SPF 30 or greater. Wear loose, lightweight, light-colored clothing, and try to take regular breaks in the shade if you can. Now, we are going to be shifting our attention to storm potential tomorrow and beyond. So marginal level 1 risk for all of southeastern Michigan Tuesday, and then south of 696 Wednesday. And this is what we're looking at. So let's go ahead and give you the timeline here. Blue skies for today, but once we get into tomorrow afternoon, after about 1, 2 o'clock, we could start to see some scattered development firing off. Then it's just off and on throughout the evening and even into the overnight. And so we have the chance for some of them to reach strong to severe limits. Otherwise, really, Wednesday's the coolest day, 86, and then we're back in the upper 80s with storm chances to round out the week, and we'll still be in the upper 80s for this weekend. So summer's here. It was like Mother Nature knew and was just like, okay, pedal to the metal, and here we go with the temperatures.
It's like we skip over spring and fall.
I know.
It's summer, construction, winter. Those are, I think we have 3 seasons now.
You're not wrong there. Yeah.
I got one question for you. When you were calculating how many 90s that we get, so you were like 14 for last year.
Yeah.
Are we like on track so far, or have we seen more 90-degree days?
You're saying compared to where we were at this point last year. I would have to look at that data to see how many we had hit at this point.
Okay.
So you're kind of asking, like, are we ahead?
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll have to do some digging, Priya.
Okay. Well, that's what
that next hit we'll talk about it.
That's what Local 4 Plus is all about.
Priya just wants to give me homework. That's what she's doing. That's fine.
Thanks, Ash.
Yeah.
An important vote that could impact your commute for people in Oakland County. The proposal on the table that would change the number of lanes you can drive in Royal Oak. We are learning more about the man accused of a shooting at a church in Wayne. According to Wayne police, 31-year-old Brian Browning showed up at the Cross Point Community Church during Sunday service with hundreds of rounds of ammunition. Police say his mother is a member of the church and he attended services a few times over the last year. Police say the church's security guard shot him and killed him. An investigation is now underway. And if you are on the TV side, turn over to Local 4 Plus for our new streaming show, Local 4 Live. Coming up in the show, we are talking, of course, the Ford fireworks as the sky of downtown Detroit will light up and dazzle tonight. Plus, drivers in one Oakland County city could see some big changes on the road because of a new proposal. And at 9, how one woman is making history while restoring an iconic landmark. And Ashley is back with a look at your forecast in just a few minutes. Keep it here.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
And welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Priya Mann in for Nick Monticelli. We are getting a live look outside in Belleville this morning. And while many may be heading to the lake to cool off, how amazing does that look? It is important to be taking some really serious precautions to stay cool and stay safe when we're talking about dangerously hot temperatures. And, you know, I know we like to joke about like our hair is getting so much bigger,
Right.
but in all seriousness, there are some folks who might have some underlying conditions. If you're working outside today, these are really dangerously hot temps.
Yeah, because there's some folks that have to be outside, right?
Right.
We keep saying like, oh, limit your time outside, but there are construction workers and some folks that might suffer from breathing issues that have those jobs outside. So yeah, try to give yourself frequent breaks. You know, Priya, you were asking how many 90-degree days that we had at this point last year. Well, June last year at this point, we had 6 days that we hit 90 degrees.
Okay.
So we were actually a little ahead of pace last year compared to this year. Now, overall, we're pretty much on par with when we should be getting into these extreme heat days.
Right.
But we'll have to see how it all pans out, right? Because
Interesting how the numbers play out though, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So right now, I mean, we are on pace with possibly breaking a record today. Either side of 80 degrees across the metro area. Live look at Metro Airport where you cannot find a cloud in the sky, which it's going to be beautiful as you look outside, especially if you're looking from an air-conditioned building. But you step outside and the heat will be oppressive. Extreme heat alerts continued from what we had over the weekend. Warnings across the heart of the metro area, advisories in those outlying counties, which just means that those temperatures will just be a smidge cooler than the areas that have the warnings. But all of us will have 90-degree highs with triple-digit heat indices. So 97 the forecasted high right around Metro Airport. We could be a degree or two warmer in the city, which is important to point out because we have the Ford fireworks this evening. And then you compare it to what it's going to feel like because of the humidity and feeling closer to 105 with that heat index. 94 is the forecasted high tomorrow, so not that much cooler with heat indices in the low 100s. But then we catch a little bit of a break getting into the 80s Wednesday and beyond. But today we're in record territory. Current record stands at 95, forecasting 97. Tomorrow we're flirting with the record, but probably not going to break it. And then we get that reprieve come Wednesday. And who would think 86 degrees would be a reprieve?
Exactly.
So yeah, we have some storms off to the west. We're keeping a close eye on that because we will have some storm potential tomorrow going into Wednesday. But before we can even talk about that, we just want to make sure folks stay safe because it's a big day in the city.
I know, and thankfully, if we're going to talk about any storm chances, I'm glad it's tomorrow.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, people can prepare for the heat.
Yes.
You know, you pack the cool water bottles and things like that and try to...
The umbrella.
The umbrella to protect yourself from the sun. And, frequent the businesses in downtown Detroit. You can, go ahead and put your chair out where you want, but then go grab lunch inside and, try to, maybe frequent the restaurants and give yourself a little break from the heat.
You had another good point too. Like a lot of families bring their pets.
Yeah, don't bring the pets
Maybe not.
today.
This might not be the day for it.
I mean, just consider being outside. I mean, it's already going to be stifling outside as it is, and then adding a fur coat on top of that.
It's
Not
too
good for the
much.
pets.
Yeah, leave them in the AC. All right. Thank you, Ash. Well, as you heard her talking about, the time is ticking down. We are less than 12 hours away from one of Detroit's biggest nights of the year. And of course, we're talking the skies lighting up for the Ford fireworks. We have every angle covered when our coverage starts tonight at 8 p.m. Earlier this morning, I spoke with Patrick Bro, who is the Ford fireworks choreographer. Good morning, guys. We are in beautiful Hart Plaza, and I'm joined with Patrick Bro, who's the Ford fireworks choreographer. And boy, there's got to be a lot of pressure for a show of this magnitude.
Not too bad.
Well,
there's always a little bit of stress just before the show starts, but I've been doing this long enough that...
I was going to say, a couple of decades under your belt, huh?
Yeah.
What goes into putting on a show like this?
A lot of logistics, and then creativity. I mean, you're trying to be different year on, year on. So you got to look back at what you've done and see what worked, what didn't work, and repeat.
And adapt and improve. Let's
Yeah.
talk about logistics. What's involved in kind of getting the timing of everything just right?
Well, now it's a lot easier than it used to be, because before it was all hand calculations for like thousands of firing ignitions. Now we got computer software that helps us do that. So,
Oh, good old computers.
yeah. The thing is that it doesn't save me more time because I'm just more, precise at it. So,
Right.
that's just the way it is.
Let's
It's
talk
just
about the
another
creative
tool.
process a
Yep.
little bit.
Yep.
Can you walk us through? I mean, I know year after year it's bigger and better, but what is that like for you?
Well, it's I get for this show here, I'm given the soundtrack by the Parade Company by
Okay.
Tony Michaels. Did it. It's his pet project, and he really enjoys doing it. So once I receive it, then I listen to it many a times, and then I cut it down to sections and beats and refrains and where I want the big hits to happen. So it's just a question of breaking it down into parts. And at the same time, while I'm doing that, I got ideas, and I write down the ideas of what I think should work during those periods, and then it starts building itself up like a little castle.
I like
it's,
that, a little castle. Can you kind of see it coming together in your mind?
Yeah, I've done this long enough that it's all about the mind thing. There's the software now has simulation, but I don't use it that much.
I mean, nothing compares to your mind,
No,
right?
Yeah, and the simulations are good, but it's not the same as the real thing. So.
For folks who are heading downtown, there's so many beautiful viewing spots right along the river here. What would you like them to know about the show that they're in for tonight?
It's going to be more lyrical or more than normal, but not for the whole thing. Just a few parts where it's going to be cooler. Let's
Cooler.
say.
Okay. Are there parts we can sing along, perhaps?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, there are certain songs that have been known for a long, long time, so people know about it. So they know it. Yeah.
Let's talk about the crew and how many people it takes to put this together.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
Here on site, we're 9,
Okay.
and we've been doing this since Tuesday last week.
Wow. Okay. I would have thought that's amazing. 9 people,
Yeah.
and you put on a show for thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a really fun interview. If you want to see the fireworks for yourself, the Click on Detroit team has put together a guide with everything that you need to know, from parking to the best spots to watch. It's all on our website. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. and, of course, the Ford fireworks kicks off at 10. We'll be right back. Well, checking out some of our My Picks this morning. Wow, just take a look at this photo from Lori Hannon. The caption is simply hot rising sun this morning in Marine City. I think you can feel the heat emanating from that sunrise there. You can hop over to clickondetroit.com right now. Just scan that QR code and you can submit your own My Picks and we could show them on the air. Great photo, Lori. And we want to bring Ashley in on this morning. And Ashley, you know, this heat not letting up anytime soon. Today will be the hottest, though?
The hottest of the stretch. I mean,
I know it's all relative,
right? Only a couple degrees, but still. I mean, if you thought yesterday was too much for you, then today certainly will be, because we will be a couple degrees warmer. So here we are looking at high temperatures across the board. Mid to upper 90s, and that's not even factoring in the humidity. When you factor in that humidity, then you get the heat index, that feels like temperature, which will be well into the triple digits in a lot of places. As I mentioned a little while ago, I think that even underplays it. Probably closer to the city, it's going to feel more like 105. Now, here's our national map. I don't focus on this too much. I try to stay really hyper local, but just wanted to show you that when you have the heat dome on one side of the country, typically you get the cold snap on the other. So what a difference from here off towards Denver. I mean, you look up into the Rockies and that area, and there's 40s and 50s right now, where we are sitting right around 80 degrees, and it's not even 9 a.m. So either side of 80 across southeastern Michigan, and it's a toasty one. We're upward from here. Now, we did hit 90 degrees the last 2 days, in which we've been under that forewarned weather alert due to the extreme heat. Today, we'll tag on another. another. So it'll be 3 days in a row, and tomorrow we'll tag on another. So we're going to likely be in at least a 4-day stretch here of 90-degree temperatures. We average a total of 13 a year. Last year we had 14, and Priya had me do a little homework, and we hit 90 degrees 6 times last June, and we didn't do it in May. So at this point, we had 6 days of hitting at least 90 degrees. So we're a little behind from last year, but and that's not to say we wouldn't have another one of these stretches and kind of, jump
Make
ahead
up
of
for
that.
it.
Right. So the almanac yesterday, 94 was the high, 4 degrees off from the record high and 12 degrees above average. And the low yesterday was 78. So that's why we have these heat alerts, because the overnight hours are just as oppressive as the afternoon, because you can't open up the windows and allow cool air to come in while you're sleeping. So it's tough, especially for those that have breathing issues as well. Let's talk the record books. So today, forecasting 97 would break that record high of 95 that was set over 100 years ago. Flirting with a record tomorrow, but probably not hitting it. Here are those warnings and advisories, no different than what they were yesterday, and we extend those all the way through tomorrow during the daylight hours. And the heat risk, major to extreme across southeastern Michigan, meaning heat-related illnesses are likely if you don't take the proper precautions. 97 under sunshine. So you factor in the humidity, it feels like triple digits, and then the sun beating down on you, and it's going to feel even warmer than that. You need to think about that as you're heading out to the Ford fireworks this evening, because a lot of those street closures happen at 6. And so if you're down there before 6 o'clock, well, you're there in the peak heat of the day, because 6 o'clock is 97 degrees and feeling like the low 100s with the heat index. Even after sunset, it's still going to feel like we're in the 90s. So drink plenty of water. You want to stay hydrated, apply the sunscreen every 2 hours, and wear light, loose-fitting clothes that are light-colored, because that'll help with that sun beaming down, and try to find the shade. Marginal risk for severe weather across southeastern Michigan, really the next 2 days, and we'll start to see some of those storms firing off as early as probably tomorrow afternoon, and we'll take that all the way through, off and on, through the overnight. We fall to 86 Wednesday, but rebound. We're close to 90 again Thursday and Friday with off and on storm chances. So the heat is on.
I can't believe I'm going to be looking forward to 86.
Right?
I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
Everything is relative when it comes to the weather.
Totally. One question for you. Looking at the national map, you know how you said we have a heat dome on one side and then over the... So is that cooler air from the West Coast, is that what's going to make its way over to us and then cool us down eventually?
So it all is the jet stream.
Right?
So eventually that works its way.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully not that cool.
No, good. We don't need 40s.
But you want to start to see some of that warm air kind of retreat. You want that jet stream to kind of slide a little farther down, and let that warm air just stay down in Florida. Let them have that sweltering heat and humidity, So, yeah.
Thanks, Ash. And we will be right back. In your headlines this morning, police say more guns and ammunition were found during a search of a man's home. This man, Browning, did not have a criminal history. We're talking about the attempted mass shooting at a church in Wayne. He may have been suffering a mental health crisis, though. The moment church members heard the gunfire and ran for safety, all of it was captured on the church's live stream.
Everybody to the back. Please, everybody come to the back. Come to the back. They gotta come. They gotta come. Come on.
Absolutely frightening moments there. That was just after 11 Sunday morning. According to police, security guards saw Browning driving recklessly in front of the church before he got out dressed in camp and a tactical vest and started shooting at the church. Police say the guards shot him and a church member hit him with their truck. We talked to one of those church members who describes the chilling moments that he went toward the gunfire.
I thought it was, they're paying for them to go to school, they're getting training, they're going to camps. I thought this is overkill. But I tell you what, saved the day today because we had a security guy come from either direction within minutes. I ran to that door after I heard that second thing. And as I opened the door, they were already engaged in to be that quick, that fast, and from two different directions. I mean, it paid off.
And lead pastor Bobby Kelly says their security team practices for situations just like this. He thanks their preparedness and the church's faith for preventing a mass tragedy. The Grosse Ile Parkway Bridge is now closed. The bridge is expected to be closed for about 2 weeks. It's part of phase 2 for steel repairs. Most drivers will be rerouted to the toll bridge to get around. The Parkway Bridge will also not swing open for marine traffic during the closure. You can find a list of detours over on clickondetroit.com. And today, L'Anse Creuse Public Schools Board of Education is holding their regular board meeting amid ongoing budget issues. The district is figuring out a plan to bring down the $9 million deficit it faces. The meeting will be held in the Harry Wheeler Community Center and administrative offices. Public comment will be held for 30 minutes during the meeting, and it all gets underway at 6. Royal Oak leaders are meeting tonight for a decision that could reshape your commute along 11 Mile. How tonight's meeting could change who you share the road with. We'll have that coming up. Metro Detroit is under a forewarned weather alert for the third day in a row, and it could feel like triple digits outside today. The extreme heat can also put kids of all ages at risk for heart-related illnesses. There are a few things parents should keep in mind if they're taking the little ones outside. Here's Rhonda Walker.
As the temperatures rise, so does the risk of getting really sick from the hot sun.
It's hard for your body to actually sweat out that heat and to get rid of it. So you're at much higher risk of heat-related problems.
Dr. Ashley Brulette with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says this time of year, it's especially important to keep kids hydrated before, during, and after outdoor activities. She says if they're outside for under an hour, make sure they're drinking plenty of water. But if they're spending more than 60 minutes outdoors, she suggests supplementing with a sports drink.
And then also being mindful of what time of day we're doing activities. So doing things earlier in the morning, later at night, having shady breaks, things like that are going to be really important for monitoring long term.
If your child is an athlete, Dr. Brulette says to gradually introduce heat before outdoor practice to allow the body to acclimate to it. And be mindful of equipment and clothing that they're wearing.
Not overdressing, light layers, light colors, things like that will be helpful.
Knowing signs of heat-related illnesses is also so important. The most severe sickness from the sun is heat stroke. Symptoms include confusion, irrational behavior, drowsiness, nausea, vomiting, and a high temperature of 104 degrees and above.
And the doctor says taking breaks from the heat is important. During those breaks, you should hydrate and get out of the sun. Also, if you're going to a playground, keep in mind that play sets, slides, and other equipment could feel hot on kids' skin. If you grew up in the 90s, you remember those slides. They can be dangerous. Changes could be coming to Royal Oak as the city pushes for a revamp of 11 Mile between Woodward and Stevenson Highway. If the city votes to approve the plan tonight, it could mean more bike lanes, street parking, or grass. But residents worry it will be a hassle behind the wheel and could change everyone's commute. So when you hear about a city considering bike lanes, what's the first thing that goes through your mind?
Thumbs up.
Depending on who you talk to, some are in favor of bike lanes, while others say 11 Mile is already too congested.
I think they are a waste of money and a waste of space.
Why is that?
Because you got all these individuals out here thinking they know how to drive and they really don't.
What do you think about this proposal on 11 Mile specifically?
I think it'd be great. Slow down the traffic a little bit, get more people, out of their cars.
Tonight, city commissioners in Royal Oak will vote on whether to redevelop 11 Mile from Woodward to Stevenson Highway.
If there would be some type of algorithm that they could come up with where they could justify it, that would be great. In other words, it's going to get the use that they want to see it getting using. Otherwise, it seems superfluous.
Here's what it's like now, 2 lanes in each direction. Here's what the city recommends, 1 lane in each direction with a center turning lane. But the new features in blue are still up for debate. They could become bike lanes stretching from 4th Street all the way to Stevenson Highway.
Getting biking to work is a very great idea, especially in the summer months, but just really have indicators, maybe barriers in between the two would be good. Just ways to keep people safe, because I think it's a good idea, but safety is key.
What do you see on the road when it comes to bicyclists?
An accident waiting to happen.
City engineers say 14,000 drivers use that stretch of 11 Mile every day. In addition to bike lanes, the city is looking at adding green space or street parking along 11 Mile.
Do you think we can reach a point where drivers and cyclists can coexist?
I mean, they do it in other countries. I don't know why we can't do it here.
You know, while I was doing that story and I was just out there shooting a few stand-ups, there was a couple who was biking on the sidewalk and they stopped and were like, we would love to have bike lanes along 11 Mile. When I said there is this meeting tonight, they said they'll be there. Public comment is welcome. So if you'd like to attend, that meeting is happening at 7:30 tonight at City Hall. And if approved, the budget would cost around $9 million with work starting in 2027. Royal Oak City Commission expected to vote at that meeting at 7:30. Hopefully you can make it out there. We have more conversations coming up in our 9 o'clock hour. We're heading back out to Hart Plaza to talk fireworks and safety. Plus, one woman making a name for herself as her company works on a historic landmark. And Ashley's back talking the dangerous heat Metro Detroit is seeing today and when we could finally be in for some relief. More news and weather in our next hour. Stay with us.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Hey guys, welcome back and welcome to Local 4 Live. I'm Priya Mann in for Nick Monticelli. It's 9 a.m. and we've got a lot of stories ahead of you in this next hour. But first, if you haven't noticed, it's pretty hot outside and we've got Ashley here to start the show. Ashley, we're talking dangerously hot temperatures.
Right. I mean, we've been in this dangerous heat for 2 days now, and today will be even warmer than the last two. So it's just rolling on. The extreme heat alerts you see across southeastern Michigan still remain in effect. In fact, we're going to take that into tomorrow. They're not set to lift until 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. Now, the pink is an extreme heat warning, and so that is the highest level of a threat when it comes to the heat, and then the advisory is just a tier below it. But all of us are dealing with dangerous heat when it comes to heat exhaustion, things like that. So we want to make sure that you limit your time outside if you can. I understand there are folks that work outside, that they are forced to be out there, but you want to continuously be drinking water. Don't wait until you're thirsty. At that point, you're already dehydrated. Right now, a live look at downtown Detroit, where we have those blue skies, 83 degrees in the city, 81 in Ann Arbor, 82 in Pontiac. Monroe has dropped its reporting site, but I can tell you we have widespread, pretty much low 80s across southeastern Michigan, and we're cranking up the heat. Within the next hour, we'll likely be in the upper 80s, and then we're hitting 90 before we even get to noon. In fact, 97 is the forecasted high. Now, you pair that with humidity, it's going to feel like the low 100s, and then the sun beaming down on you, that will make it feel even warmer, especially those car thermometers. I'm sure that some cars will read even higher than 105 if they're parked out in the sunshine. So 105 is the heat index today because of the humidity factored in with those 97-degree temperatures. Tomorrow, back in the 90s, low 100s for the feels like temperature before we get back into the 80s come Wednesday and Thursday. But near record heat, if not breaking the record. And today I think we have a really good shot at crushing that record of 95 that was set over 100 years ago. 97 the forecasted high. 94 tomorrow is going to be a struggle to get to that 97 record, but at least we're in record territory. There are some storms off to the west. Just want to show you exact track 4D real quickly because there's nothing here, but we will have some storm chances by tomorrow afternoon and even going into your Wednesday. So we'll talk more about that in your full forecast. But you were outside this morning doing some live shots for us. And
you can feel it.
Yeah.
Even at 5 a.m., the air was so heavy. And it was nice that we were at a Hart Plaza right by the fountain. So you get a little bit of that breeze from the water. But yeah, it just feels heavy. And then of course, on a lighter note, the hair just gets bigger and bigger. I should have just done a ponytail.
No, it looks beautiful.
Well, I redid it.
Oh, wow. Mine would have been, mine doesn't get big. Mine just goes flat.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, no, I can just feel it. I'm always like, come back. Just come back.
Reel it back in.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah. Well, as of just a few minutes ago, the polls are open, so you can start voting for this year's For the Best finalists. We've got more than 72,000 submissions. That's incredible for roughly 80 categories. You can vote for your favorite restaurants, bars, businesses, and things to do. Some of the categories range from Best Beauty Salon all the way to Best Bagel. Scan the QR code on your screen for a look at the finalists over on our website. Click on Detroit.com. You can vote for each category once a day through July 21st. Congratulations and good luck to all of our 2025 Vote for the Best finalists. And we'll catch up with Ashley in just a few minutes. But first, we do want to fill you in on some of the stories that we've been working on for the next hour. First, Detroit may be hot, but people are definitely excited for the Ford fireworks tonight over at Hart Plaza. Here's a live look at the plaza now, and we're talking to two experts in the next hour about the hype surrounding the event and how people can stay safe when attending. Those live shots looking great. And Metro Detroiters, get ready for the heat. We are in a forewarned weather alert, and it only seems to keep getting hotter. Lastly, as part of our Trade Up initiative, we're talking to the CEO of a key company in an iconic landmarks restoration. Now to our headlines this morning. Underway in court right now, the man accused of killing a prominent Detroit doctor is in front of a judge. Desmond Burks was found competent to stand trial earlier this year in March after being charged in the killing of Dr. Devon Hoover in 2023. Dr. Hoover's body was found wrapped in carpet in the attic of his Boston Edison home. He'd been shot twice in the head. The hearing is expected to last several days. Diners in St. Clair County had quite the surprise when a helicopter crashed outside a restaurant. A Local 4 viewer recorded the moment of impact outside the Cabana Blue restaurant. frightening scenes there. The privately owned helicopter tried to land on an empty lot next to the restaurant. It's unclear why it crashed, but thankfully nobody was injured. We now know the name of the man accused of shooting at a church in Wayne. According to Wayne police, 31-year-old Brian Browning showed up at Crosspoint Community Church during its Sunday service with hundreds of rounds of ammunition. Police say his mother is a member of the church, and Browning attended services with her a few times over the last year. Police say more guns and ammunition were found during a search of his home. Browning did not have a criminal history, but may have been suffering a mental health crisis. The moment church members heard the gunfire and ran for safety was captured on the church's live stream.
Everybody to the back. Please, everybody come to the back. They gotta come. They gotta come.
Frightening moments there as parishioners were running out the door. You're looking at video of that live stream from after 11 Sunday morning. According to police, security guards saw Browning driving recklessly in front of the church before he got out and started shooting at the building. Police say the guards shot him and a church member hit him with their truck. We talked to a church member who describes the chilling moments that he went toward the gunfire.
You heard what sounded like a jackhammer or a woodpecker. It went. It was fairly long, and then you heard another one. Then everyone jumped up, and someone yelled, "Hey, there's a shooting! Get out of here!" And so then I ran the opposite direction towards the shooting, and I heard, as I opened the door, I could hear another couple of short bursts, along with our security guys firing off their guns. And when I opened the door, I could see two of our security guys, one on either side, both of them with their guns trained on a guy that was sitting on the ground, just unloading on him as he was on the ground.
Wow, you could just keep listening to him describe what was happening. The church's pastor telling us the security guards go through regular active shooter training drills. Police have not released the gunman's name, but tell us more information is expected today. The man accused of shooting two Southgate officers appearing in front of a judge virtually over the weekend. Police say 20-year-old Jeremiah Kemp opened fire on three Southgate officers, hitting two of them in the leg. Wayne County prosecutors say before last Thursday's shooting, Kemp was already on felony probation. He's facing multiple new felony charges and has a $1 million bond. And getting a live look of the beautiful Detroit skyline thanks to our friends over in Windsor. And we are getting closer and closer to the greatest summer party of the year. Of course, we're talking the Ford fireworks. Earlier this morning, I spoke with Don Morris, the Senior Director of Operations. Take a look. I've been out here at Hart Plaza, and I caught up with Don Morris, who is the Senior Director of Operations here at the Ford Fireworks. And Don, this is a huge operation. How do you pull it off?
It's amazing. You got to know how long it takes to get this done. We start this whole process in February.
Really?
Trying to get this whole thing together, coordinating. You got Tony Michaels, the president, doing the creative side of it, the whole thing with Jessica Kaminskis. Then you have the music. He selects the music. And then someone you previously talked to, Patrick Bro, is a creative director that actually takes that music and then syncs the fireworks display, or the shots, for lack of a better term, into the music. And so that just takes, and then it's just a whole lot of coordinating between the tug company, the barge companies, and all the other things, security permits for this whole thing, because we're on an international border. So this is amazing, everything it takes on and how the length it takes to get it done.
You know, when we were talking about the show and the fireworks display, when I was talking to Patrick, I was like, you have to time this down to the second. And he was like, no, down to the millisecond.
It is.
That's how precise this show is.
It is, and it's funny. I get to see it multiple times simulated on computers. See, and that's how it's worked. That works out with Patrick, saying, okay, I've seen the show already, but from a 2D perspective, looking at a computer screen. So I can't wait to see what we're going to see in real time.
What is that like for you when you see the sky lit up like that?
I have a little bit different perspective, and it's kind of weird how this works, because the fact that there's a lot of coordination that goes on right before the show between a lot of people, your team, because we have to get down to the second for you. This is a live broadcast. But then it's also working with the other teams that coordinate, still communicating with the barges themselves to make sure we're on sync with the time code that we're doing and everything. It's a lot of involved. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's butterflies out there, and literally to that first shot goes in the work, because then guess what? There's nothing I can do at that time.
So then you get to enjoy it a bit.
Kind of, but now I'm looking at the barges to see how they're doing, because of the fact that it's just, again, we're using explosives, so there's certain safety factors that we take into consideration that are on the barges and everything else. So yes, do I see the display? But it's like display barges. Okay, that's me.
You know, for folks like myself, regular folks who are out here enjoying the show, there's so much we don't think about that goes into putting on a flawless performance.
Yes, and I'll just use the permitting process because we are an international border. A lot that what we have to do actually has to parallel on the Windsor side too. Example, the use of the river, I have to get authority from the Windsor Port Authority to allow us to use the river. And even though we're in American waters that we're shooting the show from, the thing is that, you know, we have freighters that go up and down.
Right,
so we have to have a safety zone that's embarked on the whole thing to make sure these freighters, these huge freighters, we can't have explosives going off in front of near these. Use of the United States Coast Guard actually sets up picket lines for us, so we have no what we call civilian watercrafts coming anywhere within our safety zone. So, I mean, it's a lot of coordination with all the different federal, state, and local entities to make sure this comes off flawlessly.
What is your favorite part of the fireworks? When it's all said and done and all that work, what's your favorite part?
I'm typically on the rooftop party, so the thing is, and I absolutely what I love is the applause and everything that comes after. That means we've put on a show. All our, countless hours of being out there. I mean, yesterday was just, you gotta know the weather outside. We were outside all day, and I mean, it was just amazing.
It's hot.
Oh yeah, today's not going to be any better. I don't think, but I think it's still going to be a great show. But then to see everybody's applaud, then hear downtown erupt from a higher perspective, and also what I think is even funnier is all the alarms that go off from the finale that's going off. So from the percussion of all the thing, hearing all the alarms, the car alarms going off, it's hilarious to me. And so I think it's great. That means we did our job.
That's right. Yes, you did. And you talk about that show. Our coverage starts at 8 with, of course, the Ford fireworks kicking off at 10 p.m. I know you have a very busy day. Thanks so much for spending some time to talk to us.
Have a great day. Stay hydrated.
Thanks. Well, you too.
I'll try like that.
And getting a live look at Detroit right now. Underway in court, the man accused of killing a prominent Detroit doctor. We are taking a deeper dive. Happening now, the man accused of killing a prominent Detroit doctor is in court. Erica Erickson joins us now, and this is a case that really started more than 2 years ago.
That's right, back in April of 2023, and this has gotten a lot of attention. As you know, national media is covering this as well, and the preliminary exam is starting today. And I think one of the big things a lot of people are talking about is this is circumstantial evidence.
Right.
We see a lot of cases, where they head to the preliminary exam and they've got fingerprints or DNA and things like that. And this is one of those cases where they have circumstantial evidence. And
it'll also be interesting to see what they lay out during this preliminary exam. We'll get our first sense of what the prosecutors have, right?
Yeah, so if everyone can kind of remember, this happened back in April of 2023, and Dr. Hoover, he was 53, a neurosurgeon at Ascension.
Very well liked.
Very well liked, very well known. He was found dead in this Boston Edison home, really beautiful neighborhood, face down, wrapped in a blood-soaked carpet in this sort of crawl space. He was apparently shot in the head twice, and there were a lot of items missing from his home, his cell phone, wallet, money, credit cards, and I believe some other items. And this is all tied to Desmond Burks, charged with first-degree murder, larceny, other felonies, and things like that. But there's a lot of cell phone records that link Hoover and Burks, a lot of text messages and things like that, and I'm sure we're going to hear more about that in this preliminary exam today.
And there was so much time between his body being discovered and an arrest, and I know that loved ones of Dr. Hoover had come out and they were speaking publicly about the fact that they had an idea who the person might be, that this is somebody that may have known Dr. Hoover, possibly had some sort of relationship with them.
That's right.
And you hear all of that, and now we're going to start to get a sense of how prosecutors are going to be laying out their case.
Exactly. And I was speaking with law enforcement, former retired Detroit police chief, assistant police chief Steve Dolan last week about this case, and he said he was really impressed just the way. It may have taken some time, but he said he was really impressed with the way investigators, maybe they did take their time, but it seems like that was a good thing.
Yeah.
And
but I also think
they seem to be ready for this.
We rush to judgment. I think as the public, we watch all the true crime shows and like CSI, and we're like, well,
we see all of this in one episode, right?
Exactly. And so we're like, why isn't this moving along faster? But investigations take time.
They do, and I think what we're going to see is, despite it being circumstantial, again, they appear to be ready and they're going to lay out their case. Again, these are some serious charges, and there appear to be a lot of, there's surveillance footage apparently of Burks parking Dr. Hoover's Range Rover where it was found.
Really?
So maybe we're going to see some of that.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think it is about this case that has really garnered that national attention? It seems to have all the elements of intrigue.
It's when you see someone who, this doctor, again, like as you said, well-liked.
Yeah.
In this beautiful mansion. This mansion, this nice neighborhood. And it's just a sad situation all around.
Yeah.
But I think there's also this, what was going on between the two of these people?
Right.
I think we're really interested to hear. Obviously a lot of things were taken from his home, but what was the relationship exactly?
And then you think if he was shot twice in the head, we haven't heard if neighbors heard anything. It seemed like everybody was surprised when his body was eventually found. So lots of information to dig through today in this preliminary exam. We know that you're going to stay on top of it and can't wait to see your reports later on today.
That's right. Well, I'll be on it this week, and we'll have more at 5 o'clock today and throughout the week.
Can't wait for those developments. Thank you, Erica.
Thanks, Priya.
And we want to take a live look at Detroit right now. It feels like it's getting hotter by the second. Ashley will be back to talk your forecast and how you can stay cool. All right, Ashley, on days like today when we're talking about triple-digit heat indices. It's best to drink a lot of water, stay cool. I mean, those light colored clothing, loose fitting.
Loose fitting.
Anything you can do.
Lightweight.
Yes.
Anything you can do to try to just kind of keep a degree or two away, and that'll
We'll
make a
take
difference.
it.
I know. I want to show you this. We're already feeling like we're 90 degrees at Metro
Wow.
Airport. That's the heat index right now. So not the actual air temperature, but feeling like 91 in Grosse Ile, 90 in Mount
gross.
Clemens. It's gross. We're putting the gross in the Grosse
Yeah,
Ile.
we are. We are.
Oh, man. With these temperatures and the heat indices. So, yeah, that's where we feel right now, and we'll probably feel about 10 degrees warmer than that. Now, these are the actual air temperatures well into the 80s, 84 in Grosse Ile, and then same at Metro Air, or I should say 84 there, and then 83 at Metro Airport and at City Airport. So temperatures will be well into the 90s today and feeling like the low 100s. Here's a look at the forecasted map for the actual air temperature. That'll be the high today in white. And then the yellow temperatures would be what it will feel like when we're topping out this afternoon. And I think some of those heat indices are even a little underplayed. I would not be surprised if there's a couple areas the closer you get to the city of kind of being right around 105. So we've had 2 days in a row where we've hit 90 degrees, and those are the only 90-degree days that we've had so far this year. We averaged 13. Last year we had 14, and then Priya had me do some homework this morning, and at this point last year we had had 6 of those days. So we're a little behind that, but that doesn't mean we won't catch up this summer. So, almanac data yesterday, we hit 94. That put us 12 degrees above average and 4 degrees below the record. Now, let's talk records, because today I think that we create a new record that has been standing since 1923, more than 100 years. Yeah, that record high of 95. So 97 is our forecast for today. And then tomorrow we're flirting with the record, but I just don't think that we get there. So that record's 97 and 94.
How do you think the meteorologists back in the 1920s were letting everybody know? Were they drawing a sun?
They
with
for
rays?
sure were drawing. Yes, they were drawing. Yeah, I don't even know, like over 100 years
Right?
ago.
The paper boy was like, "It's gonna be a hot one today."
Absolutely. Yeah, and now I have that visual in
Right?
mind.
Exactly. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you. Extreme heat alerts. So we do have those that will continue. Not just today. We're going to roll those into tomorrow as well. They're not set to lift until 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. So warnings across the heart of the metro area. Of course, that's more of your, more populated region. And then you get in the more rural areas and we're under that advisory. Just because it's only going to be a couple degrees cooler. When it's all said and done, we all have a heat risk, right? So major heat risk north of I-94, extreme south of the I-94 corridor for heat-related illnesses. And then think of your pets as well, because the cement is going to be a lot hotter than what the air temperature is. And so that's going to be tough on their paws. And you just don't want to leave them outside because they have that fur, that natural fur coat. So you don't want them to overheat. 97 degrees around 4 o'clock. We're going to take that into a few hours. In fact, by 6 o'clock, still hovering right around that high temperature. And that's important to note because we start to see street closures and such around the Ford fireworks. So folks are getting out there before 6 to beat those closures, and then you're stuck in the sweltering heat. So try to think of ways that you can stay cool, whether it's under a tent. You want to find those shaded areas, pack frozen water bottles. So, I mean, they'll be melting quickly, but at least they'll stay cooler a little bit longer. And then apply the sunscreen every 2 hours as we'll have a lot of sunshine. And you want to make sure, Priya had mentioned, wear that lightweight, light colored clothing for today. Marginal level 1 risk for severe weather tomorrow across all of southeastern Michigan, and then it goes south of 696 the next day. Let's quickly look at how those model runs shape up. I don't have anything to show you today. So that's good news. You're going to stay dry for the fireworks. However, scattered showers and storms roll in come Tuesday afternoon, and those will last even into the overnight going into Wednesday morning. It's a scattered variety. It's a level 1 risk, but nonetheless, you could see some of those storms. And then we fall into the upper 80s. Look at that cool down, upper 80s.
That seems amazing. I've never been that excited for 86.
Right?
I'm like, ooh, okay, great.
I know. Everything is relative. When we talk about, even when we, when it's coming out of March going into February, we're like, ooh, it's going to be like 68 degrees. It's so warm. And then you talk about that in the fall and you're like, oh, it's so cold.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
the one that messes me up is that one random week we'll have at the end of February or early March where it's really pleasant. But then we've got another month and a half of winter to get through. And you're
For
why?
sure. Yeah.
Why'd you tease us, Mother Nature?
But it happens.
It does.
All the
It
time.
does.
Yeah.
Looking forward to those 80s. Thanks, Ash. Still ahead, getting a live look at New York right now. We're taking a deeper dive into the trial of Sean Combs and how it could be in the final stretch. We'll have details coming up. And getting a live look at New York right now, where the trial of Sean Diddy Combs is back in session, potentially entering one of its last weeks. Defense attorneys hinted Friday that its case could be shorter than anticipated. Its witness list possibly being completed by Wednesday, leaving Combs' attorneys possibly able to present their entire case on Tuesday and Wednesday. According to the judge, this would allow closing arguments to start on Thursday. Well, how much money do you think you need to feel financially secure? That's what a survey from Bankrate asked America. And the survey says roughly 45% of Americans think they would need to make at least $100,000 or more a year to feel comfortable. Even more, a quarter of those Americans say it would take $150,000 or more. On the flip side, the report says 45% of Americans said they would not even need six figures to feel secure, just more than what they make now. Overall, 77% of Americans said they did not feel completely financially secure. Krispy Kreme is celebrating the 4th of July with free donuts and a new collection of treats. The three new donuts are called the Freedom Ring, the Vanilla Cookies and Cream Liberty Crunch, and the USA Party Donut. That's got like a Miley Cyrus ring to it. They're all part of Krispy Kreme's Stars, Stripes, and Sweetness collection. As for the free donuts, everyone wearing the red, white, and blue colors, of course, of the American flag on July 4th can pick up an original glazed donut free of charge at participating locations. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Still ahead, it's hot with a capital H. Ashley is joining us again for a bigger breakdown of that harsh heat. Wait till you see the national map, too.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Priya Mann in for Nick Monticelli. Thanks for watching. First things first, if you're first joining us, we are sure that you have noticed the heat outside. So we're bringing in Ashley Barrissey to talk temperatures and how hot it's going to get, and it's not dissipating anytime soon.
No, I mean, we have had 2 days in a row where we've hit 90 plus, and here we are today with the warmest day of the heat wave. Oh. And of course, it aligns with the Ford fireworks.
Right.
I don't want it to keep folks from coming out and enjoying the Ford fireworks. Of course, you can watch it comfortably on Local 4.
Yeah, coverage starts at 8.
Yeah, but I mean, we have great restaurants and things to take advantage of today if you are downtown to kind of give yourself a break from the heat. So go put your chair in your spot and then kind of walk around. And you were at Hart Plaza by the fountain. You said you could kind of feel the mist from it, and that was nice.
Heavenly.
Yeah. So you certainly don't need to catch a flight out of town today to find warmer weather. We're one of the warmest spots in the country, at least with the dome of heat over the Midwest and even off towards the East Coast. But that's a live look at Metro Airport. So let's talk temperatures. So right now, 83 degrees at Metro, 82 in Pontiac, 84 in Grosse Ile, 82 in Port Huron. And as we look at our extreme heat alerts for today, this has not changed from what we had yesterday. It's a continuation. So we have the extreme heat warning for Wayne, Oakland, Macomb counties, where we have the more populated area. We call it kind of kind of that heat island effect. And then you get in the more rural areas down towards Monroe, Washtenaw County, still under heat advisory. And it's only the difference of a few degrees there. Another live look outside downtown Detroit as you see those temperatures hovering in the low 80s at this hour. It's only 9:30, and we're going to be into the 90s before we even get to lunchtime. So 94 by 1, 97 the forecasted high. We're dealing with high humidity levels, so that gives us the heat indices in the triple digits. But then you're cooking in the sun if you're not in the shade, and that's going to make it feel warmer too, especially those car thermometers as those cars are parked on the concrete and all of that, and it feels warmer with those car thermometers. But 97 today, feeling like 105. 97 would crack the record of 95 for this date. We'll talk more about that with our almanac data coming up. But you see, tomorrow isn't a whole lot better.
I know.
94 still with those triple-digit heat indices.
And you can talk about it, but until you go out there and just feel it for a few seconds. I was just doing some yard work for maybe not even 10 minutes yesterday. Drenched.
Same. I was like I'm going to pick a few weeds, and then I just feel the sweat coming down. And then last night was really what was the tell-all for me. I like to sleep with the window cracked.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do that because it's going to warm up.
Right.
I've had the shades down trying to keep the bedroom cool. Yeah. And the second I open it up, I'm letting warm air in, so you don't get the relief. And, I am fortunate to have air conditioning. Not everybody is. Yeah. And so that's why it's just so dangerous, because you don't even get the break during the overnight to allow your body to cool down if you don't have air conditioning.
The one good thing is there are cooling centers available.
100%. We have that on clickondetroit.com.
Yes, exactly. Check out that list. Thank you so much, Ash. And we are taking a live look at our gorgeous Detroit skyline, courtesy of our Windsor Skycam. It is going to be a beautiful day out there. Of course, we're also talking Ford fireworks as well, and we want to get right to that in just a moment. There we go, getting a live look at that beautiful Detroit skyline. We're getting closer and closer to the greatest summer party of the year. We're talking the Ford fireworks, and if you're planning on heading out tonight, you not only want to stay cool, but you want to stay safe. And right now, we're talking to DPD Chief Todd Bettison. Thank you so much, Chief, for joining us about the safety plan in place tonight. What would you like folks to know?
Well, absolutely, that it's going to be a safe event, and that I'm standing in beautiful Hart Plaza right now. And so we also have fencing around. It's going to be a clean zone, weapon-free zone, and you will only be able to enter Hart Plaza, which will be a prime viewing area, from Woodward at Jefferson. You will have to be screened. We will screen for weapons. We'll screen to ensure that with your backpacks, with your coolers, you don't have alcohol in that. And also make sure that you leave your pets at home. It could be traumatizing for them. I want everybody to know to stay hydrated. And so also we have our beautiful Spirit Plaza where you'll be able to view, and that'll be a clean zone as well. And of course, Belle Isle. And the parks, this area right here opens at 2 p.m. And so it's going to be thousands and thousands of folks down here enjoying the beautiful fireworks.
I know you can't reveal it all to us, but when it comes to those safety plans, as you mentioned, thousands of people coming to downtown Detroit, how do you make sure that folks stay safe? And I know, again, you can't reveal everything, but is there anything you can share about what those plans, how they come to be, what you're looking for logistics-wise?
Oh, absolutely. We've been doing it for a long time in the city of Detroit. I've been doing it for over 30 years. And so we have really perfected this. We handle large crowds well. And so it's a screening area that we have. And also we have our partners. I have Michigan State Police. They have extra troopers assigned. I have the whole Detroit Police Department working. Nobody gets an off day when it comes to working the fireworks. And so we're able to cover the neighborhoods as well as deploy hundreds and hundreds of officers to downtown Detroit for traffic control. We also have an enhanced curfew in effect. So for children under the age of 17 and under, the curfew starts at 8 p.m. So they can't be down here unless they have a responsible adult, a parent, or guardian. We do make exceptions for individuals that are working, but however, don't drop your kids off downtown Detroit to view any of our viewing areas unless they're accompanied by a responsible adult. And that's for the safety of our children and everyone else.
Yeah, that is certainly a great reminder there. What would your message be? For the vast majority of people coming are going to want to have a good time. They want to be safe. What would your message be to the very small few who might come and, it's hot out there. There could be some, whatever it could be when you're out there with large crowds, and it could lead to something else. What is your message to anybody who may not be packing their patience on such a hot day today?
I'm going to have hundreds of police officers. I have police officers that you can see, and then I have police officers that you can't see. I have my federal partners that are participating as well. And so we have perfected how we do it, and it's a collaborative relationship between fire, between EMS, between all the branches of law enforcement to keep Detroiters safe. So we invite you to come down. I'm anticipating a wonderful, safe event, really being the safest place probably in Michigan tonight.
I bet. Yeah, you're right. That's a great way to look at it with all of the law enforcement and the eyes on there. Real quick on a lighter note, Chief, how are you staying cool in your uniform? That's not breathable.
Yes, it is. It's breathable. Hey, Priya, it is my pleasure. I love this stuff. And so I've been coming to the fireworks. My mother used to bring me as a kid, and I remember the hot days. And so I'm just enjoying this, and I'm going to be down here in uniform working with the men and women of the Detroit Police Department and the rest of law enforcement.
I love that. That's a strong leader. Thank you so much, Chief, for joining us. And I hope you and all of the members of DPD and members of law enforcement stay safe, as well as the thousands who are coming to check out the fireworks. Thank you so much, Chief.
See you, Priya.
Bye. And if you're looking to head out tonight to catch the fireworks, you can just scan the QR code that's on your screen. It will take you to this website on clickondetroit.com. You can find a list of road and park closures, parking spots, and where you can view the fireworks from. Still ahead, one woman making a name for herself and her company, working on a historic landmark. We're sitting down with her to talk about the empire that she has created for herself. That's coming up. In national headlines, Israel launching another series of wide-ranging strikes on Tehran this morning. The Israeli Air Force struck at the heart of Tehran on Monday. According to Israel's defense minister, the Israeli military says it struck access routes to the Fordo nuclear enrichment site today in order to obstruct them. Israel pressing on with its bombing campaign just a day after U.S. strikes on that same Iranian nuclear site. Meanwhile, President Trump is warning Iran more strikes could happen if it doesn't make a peace deal with Israel. This is satellite images of the damage from the U.S. striking 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities over the weekend. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security warning Americans to be cautious traveling overseas. The department is also keeping a close eye on cyber attack threats in the U.S. And in the meantime, the White House says the president is meeting with his national security team today to discuss those strikes. President Donald Trump says he wants Iran to agree to stand down and make peace with Israel. However, experts say while the War Powers Act allows Trump to use military force for 60 days, only Congress can declare war. While some demonstrators in Tehran are demanding their country respond, Iranian leaders telling CNN they're skeptical about diplomacy now. And And getting a live look at the board right now open for about 10 minutes. Wall Street watching for Iran's reaction to this weekend's U.S. bombing of its nuclear sites. After falling early on, stock futures have been choppy in overnight trading. That follows a mixed session for stocks on Friday as tensions in the Mideast were rising. The Dow gained 35 points, the Nasdaq lost 98, and the S&P 500 was down 13 points. All right, I am so excited for this one. In today's Trade Up interview, we're going to focus on a woman making history right here in Detroit. Plus, her company is now part of an iconic landmarks restoration. You remember this huge celebration about a year ago? Oh yeah, who could forget? Detroit's Michigan Central Station reopening in grand style with a star-studded concert and the first tours the very next day, while Adrian Bennett's company, Benkari, did some of the critical work to make all of that possible. And Adrian is the first Black female ever licensed as a master plumber in the U.S. We've highlighted her work before, and today we're going to get to know her better. Adrian, first, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
So let's start with Michigan Central Station because, I mean, that was a flawless performance. What was it like for you?
It was wonderful. 6 years. That would be the most iconic project for Benkari. I don't think we can ever top that one.
I mean, you say that, but Detroit just keeps on bringing some big shows here.
Absolutely.
I mean, Diana Ross is kind of a legend, so.
Absolutely.
Right.
But just the fact of having to pump millions of gallons of water out of a building that was sitting there for so long.
Yeah.
We look at the fact that we brought life back to something that was just sitting there stagnant. It was cardiac arrest.
You know, and to take, inspiration from that, when we're inspiring the next generation, they're looking at you and all the barriers that you've broken through your incredible career.
Well, there was a few, yes. But
look at her, so modest.
My mother, she taught me to be strong and to keep moving forward, not to let anything get in your way. I used to say, if I can't go through the front door, I'll go through the back. If I can't go through the back, I'll crawl through the basement window.
And look at you now. You are walking through that front door. You're owning the place.
Well, yes, we are. Benkari is doing very well. We've got some clients now, and we're very proud to be servicing, and we're building our service division, and Benkari's future looks very promising.
What is your message for up-and-coming professionals who want to follow in your footsteps?
Be dedicated, be committed, be reliable, be truthful, and also there is nothing I would turn my back on.
Really?
I mean, there's been opportunities. There was things in the course of my years in this industry that I did, and it strengthened me. There's strength in the struggle.
I think that that's something that you have to learn too, because when you're going through the struggle, you're like, why? Why is this happening? But you learn something from it.
Every lesson, everything I've gone, every trail, every journey, I've had memorable thoughts. And as I reflect back upon them, it strengthens me every day.
Do you consider yourself a trailblazer?
That's what they label me as, among other things.
And you?
No.
Really?
My children tell me I'm extremely humble, and that's important to me to stay humble. I show up every day. I show up on time. I want to be the best example I can for my employees and for the future.
I would imagine humility also helps you stay incredibly competitive.
I'm not sure about that because it's a dog-eat-dog world out here.
Yeah.
And I just keep moving forward. I do. And with mentioning of moving forward, Benkari's future, we're looking at drinking rainwater.
Wow. Can you tell us more? That is quite the tease.
I know.
Okay. I like that.
That was deliberate.
I like that.
Yes. The filtration of rainwater. You have meteorologists on staff here, and they can verify this, that for the last 3 years, we've had a decline in rainwater, our rainfall, and also in our snowfall. That is the one way we replenish our lakes and our rivers. And if we continue on this path, where are we going to get our water from? So we're going to have to capture rainwater and filter it and use it for drinking, for bathing, for everything.
How did this issue kind of rise up the list and is something you're now looking at?
Well, West Coast. They've already gone through it.
Yeah.
And even though we're Great Lakes states, there's 8 states that are Great Lakes, and they're starting to feel it. I understand the fact that you feel that we've got all this water around us, but look at, there are some properties that used to be lakefront, they're no longer lakefront properties.
Right. We're starting to see that change happening now, and you're getting ahead of it.
We're trying to get ahead of it, yes, absolutely.
You know, when it comes to, you know, we've got a whole new series talking about the trades. Master plumber.
Yes.
First.
And plumbing contractor, licensed contractor. It's two separate licenses.
How did that come to be?
I was at a Jimmy Carter Get Out to Vote rally.
Really?
And I was studying at Lawrence Tech, working at Eaton Engineering, metallurgical engineering, and this gentleman at the time said, would you like to make $50,000 a year? And I'm like, is it legal? This is in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he said, being a plumber. I left the engineering program, and he said, I need a woman to get something done.
And you're like, yeah, you took that and just ran with it.
Pretty much.
What
It wasn't a straight run. There was a couple of hurdles, and there was brick walls I had to, scale to get over it. But here I am, still here.
I know there's always more work to be done, but what do you think of the progress that's been made?
As far as?
Since you became the first master plumber to where we are today in getting women to think about maybe some of these lines of work.
I attended 2016. It's called Women Build Nations. I cried the entire time. I had no idea there were so many women in the trades. Where have you been? The West Coast is so much more progressive than we are.
Okay. So you're helping to bring that here.
That awareness.
Yeah, exactly. And you're also leading by example.
Well, I'm trying to make it a point where it's not glamorous to be a plumber, but as a plumbing contractor, people don't realize, you're a plumber? No way. I'm like, yes, I am.
Yeah, I would have definitely, because you have an idea in your head, but this is why representation is so important, because then it changes what you think is possible.
Well, the thing is that the growth pattern, when I was an apprentice, when I was a journeyman, and working in the field, I dressed that way. I'm a businesswoman now as a business contractor. When I'm out there soliciting for Benkari, I want to project this image of being perfection.
Well, I got to say, when you walked into the studio, it spoke volumes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we All right, Ashley Barrissey is back in studio with us, and Ashley, it's just hot, hot, hot. That's the headline.
Hot, hot, hot. Yes. I mean, it was hot on Saturday.
See? And then
hot
it was
Sunday. Hotter today. And yeah, we're just going to continue. I mean, look at this, Priya. I mean, we already feel like 90 in a lot of spots across Southeast Michigan. I mean, you find more 90s on that map than you do upper 80s. And so we're well on our way to getting into the triple digit heat indices. Right now, actual air temperatures low to mid 80s. And we haven't even gotten the 10 a.m. readings coming in yet. So high temperatures for today, upper 90s, and it'll feel like low 100s when you factor in the humidity. Then you also have to pair all that sun with it. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful look outside, but you're going to be cooking. Reapply that sunscreen, please. 2 days in a row where we've hit 90, and we'll make this a third, and tomorrow will likely be a 4-day stretch, but we averaged 13 total for the year. Last year we had 14 total days, and at this point we had hit 96 days. So we're a little bit behind last year, but Almanac yesterday was 94 for the high, 12 degrees above average, and just 4 degrees shy of that record. But let's talk records, because the current one stands at 95. Record heat today, forecasting 97. So that would break the previous record set over 100 years ago. Now, tomorrow we're in, I would call record territory, but I don't think that we quite get there. 97 is the current record. So we're forecasting 94. Then we start to get the break on Wednesday, 86. And
Love
Wednesday is the coolest day, though, the next 7, because we do rebound back in the upper 80s. I know, but it comes with some showers and storm chances, which it might be a welcome. As long as they're not severe, it would be welcome to get a passing shower.
It's funny. I actually thought we'd have more severe storms with the temps this hot.
We just haven't had a strong cold front come into clash with it. We've just been stuck in this dome. Yeah. So once we start to get a few of those mechanisms that could create that, then you might get some. We actually do have a marginal risk for severe weather come tomorrow, but extreme heat alerts for today include the warning in the more populated area, the heart of Metro Detroit, and then the heat advisory in the outlying suburbs. And we take that throughout the day tomorrow. Heat risk major to extreme across Southeast Michigan. That means heat related illnesses are probable if you don't take the proper precautions. And so the planner today, sunshine sticks around, clear skies, 97. But of course, that doesn't tell the whole story, because it will feel warmer. So if you're heading to the Ford fireworks, just showing you we're still at the warmest point of the day around 6 when all those street closures happen. So you're going to be down here finding your spot. Before that, make sure that you are maybe dipping in and out of a couple buildings that have air conditioning, just to give your body a little bit of a break. So stay hydrated. It's good to pack a lot of water bottles that are frozen. Give it time to melt. I'm sure it won't take a whole lot of time to melt, but it at least will give you some cooler water, prolonged amount of time. And then apply the sunscreen every 2 hours. And that's really necessary, because today's UV index will be very high. And you want to wear the light, loose fitting clothing, light colored especially, and try to find shade as you can. Now, marginal risk for severe weather tomorrow, all of southeastern Michigan. Then we taper that back, and it's south of 696 come Wednesday. And we'll have the scattered variety of storms working their way in. So I'll just kind of put this in quick motion for you. After about 1, 2 o'clock tomorrow, we start to see some scattered storms fire off. They're like popcorn style, and then they're just isolated off and on all the way through into your Wednesday morning and beyond. So we will have a little bit more of an active pattern, and we'll rebound back in the upper 80s, close to 90 Thursday, Friday, but holding on to those storm chances, and still a warm summer weekend ahead, as we'll still be in the upper 80s.
It's those overnight lows too that really make it challenging.
Right, absolutely. So those upper 60s will be welcome for folks that don't have AC. You can at least open up your windows and hope for a little bit of a breeze to come in and cool things off.
We'll keep our fingers crossed and stay close to you. Thanks, Ash. And we have so much more coming up throughout the day here on Local 4. Kim and Tati from Live in the D are here to show us what's ahead. All right, well, we got some special guests in studio. Kim and Tati from Live in the D are here to show us what's ahead. Hi, ladies.
Hello, Priya. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is it hot out or what?
It is so hot. The hair was just getting bigger and bigger by the moment.
That's why we both have ours pulled back.
Exactly.
Priya has hair magic, clearly,
seriously.
because
No, it
this
was
is not
just
the kind of
here.
weather.
It was just the AC. You should have seen me
Okay.
during my live shots.
Okay, listen.
Life of its own.
Because it's rough out there. But today I'm really excited about What's the Buzz?
Okay, this is all for the parent, not just for parents out there, but it's a great conversation. Do you know the term gentle parenting?
Sure.
So is it backfiring?
Oh.
Is the younger generation
Yes.
too soft?
Yes. Yes.
Are they unable to fend for themselves? They don't know how to do basic things. Not going to say who, but I knew a young person who did not know how to address an envelope.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
that's because we do emails these days.
Yeah.
It's just like a new
or
thing.
even just like eye contact.
Yes.
In a conversation.
Yes.
You know, I
Yeah.
noticed that because we're more comfortable texting
Absolutely.
instead of talking.
I know.
We talked about that last week.
Exactly.
We definitely did.
Just
It's
like
really
having
awkward.
a conversation. Yeah, those one-on-one interviews we were talking
Absolutely.
about with the job fair. So this is a huge conversation we're going to be talking about with What's the Buzz.
That's right.
We've got a lot of great guests coming on, some parents. We
Yes.
even have a token Gen Zer
Yes.
coming on.
Uh-oh, do they know what they're in
Yes.
for?
She has no idea. No, but she's kind of like an evolved Gen Zer. But also we have some American Ninja Warriors coming on the show who are actually from here in our area, which I'm really excited about.
And of course, we're going to be talking about this big event that's coming
What's
up
going
tonight.
on? What was that?
I have no idea. Something in the sky.
No, I don't
The
know.
Ford fireworks. I'm beyond excited. Do you guys have plans to watch it today?
Oh, yeah, you've got to pick your spot
Yeah.
early and, of course, stay cool while you're out there. You
I'm
gotta have a plan
excited
in
because
place.
I can actually see them from my house. So I'm going to have it on the TV on Local 4 and be watching it from my
Will
house.
Blake be able to stay up and catch some of them, or does he fall asleep early?
I'm going to make sure that he's sleeping.
Okay, okay. No gentle parenting here.
No gentle parenting. Absolutely.
She's the fun parent, I can already tell.
Yeah, he's going to be like romping around, like drinking some sugar drink.
Up till 12:30 at night.
Exactly.
Well,
Living
now
his
mom
best
doesn't
life.
have to wake up at 2:30 anymore, so it's all good.
Exactly. It is all good.
So everyone's living their best life. Blake,
Right?
Kim, her husband.
Maybe not Kevin.
Right, not Kevin. Awesome.
But yes, please join us today for What's the Buzz, all the fun stuff, fireworks talk, and
right.
so much more on Live in the D. And it's great to be here with you, Priya.
Nice to see you
Awesome.
ladies as well. And thank you all for joining us. And make sure you can watch Local 4 live. More news weather is ahead on Local 4 Plus.
Today on Live in the D, it is officially summer. We're talking about protecting your skin from the sun's harmful rays. We'll show you the best face sunscreens for women. Plus, did the gentle parenting movement go too far? Do young people lack the basic skills to be successful in life? It's our topic of discussion on What's the Buzz. And how 14 to 19-year-olds are able to work out at the gym for free until the end of August. It's all coming up today on Live in the D at 11 a.m.
I'm forward meteorologist Ashley Barrissey with the heat wave rolling on into the new work week. Extreme heat will last through tomorrow, and we have some storm chances returning tomorrow through midweek as well. Now, we get a little relief from the heat later this week, but we'll still be trending above average. So for this afternoon, forecasting 97 for the afternoon high. You pair that with sunshine, humidity, it'll feel like 105. However, our current record stands at 95, so this will be record-breaking heat. Make sure you stay cool and hydrated.
I bet you wonder what Chance is thinking.
Well, we'll share some of the signs that your furry friend is stressed out.
Oh, that's good. Plus, what your tongue can reveal about your health. It's all coming up today on Live in the D at 11 a.m. Why did I say Jody on cam? Your tongue? That's unusual.
No idea.
Okay.
Our dress cuts are kind of the same.
Mm-hmm. This is the easiest, perfect summer dress. Like, it's just easy.
It's cool.
Weird place.
Today on Live in the D, have you ever wondered what your pet is really thinking? We'll share some of the signs that your furry friend is stressed out.
Plus, what your tongue can reveal about your health. It's all coming up today on Live in the D at 11 a.m.
Today on Live in the D, have you ever wondered what your pet is really thinking?
I don't know.
Sorry. Today on Live in the D, have you ever wondered what your pet is really thinking?
Can you read Chance's mind?
I mean, I wish I could.
That'd be nice.
We're going to share some of the signs that your furry friend could be stressed out.
Especially in the summertime, right? It's so hot outside.
Storms, fireworks, things like
All of that stuff. Plus, what your tongue, yes, you heard me right, your tongue can actually reveal about your health.
It's all coming up today on Live in the D at 11 a.m.
Let's do it one more time.
Today on Live in the D, have you ever wondered what your pet is really thinking?
Can you read Chance's mind?
I wish I could sometimes. So we're going to share some of the signs that your furry friend could be stressed out.
Especially in this hot weather.
We've got storms, fireworks. It's stressful.
Exactly. Plus, what your tongue, yes, you heard me right, what your tongue can reveal about your health.
Who would have ever thought that? It is all coming up today on Live in the D at 11 a.m.